Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Cinesmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to the main event! This is Cinesmack! And the winner is...
Hello, Cinesmaggateers, and welcome to About 151 of Cinesmack, the podcast about film by filmmakers. Unfortunately, I am your host, Tom Haggis. Joining me tonight is our panel of award-winning judges. You won't find four more insightful filmmakers, so let's just make the most of it. First, filmmaker and owner of Arizona Inc. Studios, Andrew. He isn't a Toyota. Somewhat. Okay, maybe he is a Toyota. Second, writer, actor, director, Kyle, that thing in the basement with Jessica's mother, fine.
Hey, Toyota was my nickname at a football camp once because a coach told me I was short but wide. Thanks for reminding me of that. Also, Jason's Dead, 2-for-1 burgers.
Nice. Very nice. All right, third. Filmmaker and owner of One Genome Short Productions, Gabriel. He wears other people's bodies like folks wear suits. Roald.
Kung Fu this, bitch.
Very nice. Fourth, if it's a hole, he's looked in it. Filmmaker and owner of Southsider Studios, Mike Big Ol' Mango-Sized Crap Keeler.
Now, I have a story that I'd like to tell about this guy. You all know him. He had me scared as hell. He comes to me at night after I crawl into bed. He burnt up like a weenie, and his name is Fred.
He wears the same hat and sweater every single day. And even when it's hot outside,
he wears it anyway.
Nice. Okay, well, that was a blast from the past. Speaking of which, last and definitely not least, probably looking for a hug or some kind of indication that we missed him, Tosh. Freddy won't hurt him. He's family. Dillinger.
Well,
are you there, Tosh?
Well. Guess who's back? Back again. Dillinger's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Okay, I just muted that.
So I
don't. Welcome back, Tosh.
Yeah.
Tosh
and I have been working on this for a while, so surprise.
2 years, actually.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
2 years we've been trying to get him on.
It's been at least 4 years since I've been on this podcast, maybe longer. Tom reached out and said, hey, man, our Halloween episodes have sucked since you left. Need more. And I said, if you want me to bring my guaranteed 17 listeners, like I always do, and some smack, I am in.
Hey, buddy, how you been?
Good, for you listeners that don't know me, I'm Tosh Dillinger, the other white meat, the great albino. I used to be a regular on this podcast, and then some life events occurred, like kids getting involved with sports, and then I painfully had to bow out, and then the ratings dropped, people on social media asking why I left, and then we lost a ton of sunscreen advertisement money as well. So, but I'm back for Halloween, baby.
Well, welcome back.
Thanks.
Very fitting. We're in the arc of this podcast is very similar to the arc these two movies are in their franchise. So thanks for coming back for the last money grab.
Welcome.
Hopefully, we'll be a little bit more successful than they were. So.
Oh,
All right.
You were being serious.
Oh yeah. All right, so this is our annual Halloween episode. So let's stab the monkey and hear about this riveting matchup.
Ladies and gentlemen, camp counselors and Springwood citizens, welcome to the main event. Tonight, two spooky slashers stand toe-to-toe in a fight for your soul. Can Jason still hack it? Or will Freddy's glove grab the glory? In the first corner, from 1993, written by Jay Hughley, Adam Marcus, and Dean Laurie. Directed by Adam Marcus. Starring Kane Hodder, Carrie Keegan, and John D. LeMay. Jason Goes to Hell, the final writing. In the second corner, from 1991, written by Wes Craven, Rachel Talalay, and Michael DeLuca. Directed by Rachel Talalay. Starring Sean Greenblatt, Lisa Zane, and Robert Englund. Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare.
So we've got Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy's Dead. And I guess we're going to start off with writing.
Lead with your strengths, as they say. Writing. All right. Whenever you look at a recipe, sometimes the ingredients jump off the page. To me, when we're looking at Freddy's Dead, I'm seeing all the classics. I'm seeing set 10 years from now. I'm seeing a map with a digital crawl about all the teenagers being dead. I'm seeing a main character named John Doe. I'm seeing Yaphet Kotto in the opening credits, and I'm like, all right, we're in for a 3-course, high-quality meal. So let's start with Freddy's Dead. The story of Freddy's Dead is really the story of Freddy Krueger and his existence in the American zeitgeist, going from what was a kind of terrifying, serious horror. I mean, he became an icon into becoming the MTV version of Freddy, who is all over the TV, into becoming self-parody. And I think in some cases, Robert Englund trying to see what he can get away with and still get paid. The story of Freddy's Dead is lacking. I'll try to save my real insults later. We'll try to build. But the rules of how Freddy's powers and how he interacts with the real world, the dream world, what he can be hurt by, can't be hurt by, they're really played with in this movie. I'd argue you're seeing like probably the strongest Freddy Krueger, as he's been eating souls and killing teenagers, and he's able to make the crossover into this like one surviving teen's head. The movie starts in a very interesting way where you're seeing bad dreams, right? Which is such a trope in the Freddy movie. But then as you get dropped into the movie and he interacts with the world, you wonder if you're still in a dream somehow, because none of it really makes sense. And you seem powerless to change anything that's going on around you, and you're just kind of stuck. To say the movie has a plot is an insult to the word plot. And really is the epitome of what you would consider the terrible thrown together money grab horror movie plot. But these series are full of these things. The plots change so much, the characters change so much, and their powers, the rules of the world, everything gets played with so much. Here you're introduced to Freddy having a family, which was never really touched on before. And I haven't done the math, but it seems awfully suspicious that this lady is the right age to be Fred Krueger's daughter. I think Robert Englund at this point is writing his own jokes and lines. He literally is just a catchphrase machine. He shows up and says things you would print on a terrible T-shirt and then evaporates from the movie for a while. The introduction of the dream demons is laughable. It parallels very closely, though, to what we find out in Jason Goes to Hell. There are so many parallels between these movies, and especially between where they are and what they are in their movie franchises. That's crazy. Let's move quickly to Jason, which I think has a much stronger, better story, and that's really stretching it because it's a huge departure for what Jason is and what Jason is about. But it does have what I think is one of the cooler and more memorable openings of the movies, where you start with the opening chase scene of what you think is like the final girl or the first kill becoming a trap, where they then destroy Jason's body. And then the movie takes a real hard right turn into the fact that Jason is not really Jason. He's a slug inside his body that people eat. They introduce a black cowboy who's doing a Morgan Freeman impression. He has very little to do with the actual movie. He spends most of it in prison. He accepts payment in cash or broken fingers. I'd also like to mention that both the lead characters in these movies are unknown actors who are 15 to 20 years older than most other people they are supposed to be contemporaries with. The cop, the main character in Jason Goes to Hell, the guy with glasses, I don't remember his name because he's so forgettable. His cop buddy that he takes by gunpoint is 10 years younger than him. Letterman jacket. He is 38 years old or 33 years old or something like that when they make this movie. It's quite laughable. Yeah, I could go on and on and on. I got to stop because there's people talking, but plot is not their strong point. But the writing in these movies is interesting to say the least, and is that someone signed off on it and said, we'll film this.
Boy, these two movies are part of the reason why I wanted to do CineSmack in the first place. And I'm not saying that it's these actual two movies because I'd never seen them before, but just how they are so campy. I mean, I really love late 80s, early 90s filmmaking. I don't know why. It's just crazy to me. I mean, the fact that someone walked in and was like, here's the script for the next Freddy Krueger movie. Okay. It says here he controls someone like a video game. Yep. All right, here's your money. Go have fun. And and then the Jason Goes to Hell is, okay, so we open with this girl and you keep thinking she's going to get attacked, but she doesn't. We keep having these pauses where you think there's going to be a jump scare, and then it finally happens and she runs away, and she runs and then she does a somersault, and all these Mole Richardson lights come on these tiny little light stands, and all these armed men jump out in black and just start shooting Jason like RoboCop. Do you remember RoboCop? Yes, I do. And just unloading on him. And then they call in mortars, and the mortars start exploding, and one hits him and just totally blows him apart. I'm like, what is this? What is this? It is absolutely insane. By the way, here, take the money, go make this movie because I want to see it. But it is absolutely insane And the fact that they take it down to this like slug creature and Jason Goes to Hell, and I kept waiting for the hell part. Like it's at the very end, right? But I was like, there's a point where he goes into hell, right? And no, but these are late 80s, early 90s. Hey, we have this franchise. We need to make movies. Here, go shoot these 2 scripts. That's oh man, it is campy, it is bad, and I loved watching them. And I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, I would definitely say that Jason, in the way that they at least tried to stick in the first 5 minutes with the traditional cabin in the woods, girl by herself, gratuitous brief nudity. Like, I mean, they fit the trope. Yep, they fit the trope all the way up, and then it turned into kind of Alien. And it was so weird. And it became this, I'm passing this thing between other people and possessing bodies, and then, albeit the big kicker is that Jason has to be reborn and crawls into a girl.
Yes, a baby girl, right?
A dead girl.
Well, but he's after the baby, right? Like
yeah, but he ends up crawling into the with the little slimy alien thing directly up into her. Like he reverse births to then just immediately be birthed again as normal Jason. Who looks at that in the script and says, "Yep, that's the scene. That's what we're doing now."
I thought they missed, and this is probably getting into directing, but they really missed a chance of having Jason wearing that dress that she died in her like in her waitress outfit. I thought that would have been great.
And then Freddy, Freddy has always had a little bit of campiness to it. It's always had some goofy one-liners. You know, he's in a nightmare world, but he like breaks the fourth wall multiple times. You guys were talking about the video game scene, like that at the very end of that, he turns and looks at the camera and goes, "Sweet graphics." It's like, wait, what is happening right now? Like, they divulged, yes, his backstory, but they did it in such a bad way that it like broke the story of what Freddy, all the other movies before this. And granted, they are campy and such. The 3D one is very campy, but there was just something odd about this one. And then they brought Johnny Depp, and he does the brain on drugs commercial. Like, I was there. I'm
a throwback though, right? To his first.
It is a throwback, and it's amazing that they thought of it and was like, you know what? I bet Johnny Depp's available to do a 5-minute little brain on drugs commercial, so we can then hit him in the face with the freaking cast iron pan, because that'll be hilarious.
Wait! I need to be the. Hold on. Okay, I'm writing a script. I need to have 3 people fall asleep. How can I kill them? What's hot right now? Video games. Yes, video games. Okay. Say no to drugs. Got it. We'll have a drug message in there. And third, a rapey dad. Okay, that does it. And script complete.
Yep. So yes, I would agree that it is a good throwback. Just, you know, it's been 5 movies and it was a good throwback to number 1, but whew.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch to say that there was writing for either of these movies.
ChatGPT did not exist. I know.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I was going to say it'd be interesting to see if we like plugged some of this stuff into, an AI generator. Like, I bet we would get better movies out of it. And I felt like Freddy was just like, it was just like a bunch of like one-liners that they thought were funny. And how can we string them all together? It would be funny if you said, "Nice hearing from you," or whatever, and then they just kind of strung them together with some kind of loosely based story, quote unquote story. But the one thing I found interesting between the two was the similarity between how they can be killed. They can only be killed by blood relatives,
right?
And I don't know, there's an obvious connection at the end of Jason Goes to Hell. There's an obvious connection between Jason and Freddy. They're I guess I don't know the full timeline. I didn't do my research on this, but I'm guessing they're setting up the Jason versus Freddy thing and all that. But I don't think it's necessarily all that coincidental that that's the way each of them can die either. I mean, I don't know. They're a couple of years apart in production time, but it's interesting that both of them can only be killed by blood relatives. I don't know. I just felt like these are just, it's like, let's just get these into production and get them out and rake in some money and move on. It really didn't feel like they were thought out all that well. There was no plotting. There was no character development. It didn't really make any sense half the time. And frankly, I get a little bit tired of the whole dream thing too, because it gives you a little too much leeway to just do whatever the hell you want without any kind of reason or point to it. It's just like whatever you want, and then they're in a dream and they wake up in another dream, and it's like, it just seems like too much leeway to me. I don't know. Again, writing's a stretch.
That's not how you wake up from a dream. I've seen Inception. And when you do a dream inside of a dream, there's a whole process, and they didn't follow.
You got to have the music.
Yeah, they didn't follow it.
Yeah, and the bump or whatever they called it.
Yeah.
So, when Jason does his best, Kool-Aid Man and bursts through the floor, at the end there. Remember everyone that? Then like the next scene, he gets kicked in the nuts, but he wouldn't have nuts, would he? Because the body, he went into a female corpse. Or did I misunderstand that?
No, I think he got rebirthed.
I think the corpse gave birth to...
Tosh, I believe you were asking a very valid question. I think
nobody
we were
knows,
all confused by
There's
that.
no answer to that.
Is he really? I know he's Jason, but is he really Jason? Because he went. I was like, and then like it stunned him. I'm like, okay, so you can take all these bullets, no problem. But like I'm gonna go down, and I'm like, holy crap, what are we doing here?
Funny how they also kicked Freddy in the nuts too.
Sword, but like, what the fuck was that? Can I cuss? Sorry, I should ask that.
All right.
This is PG-13, Tosh.
Okay.
That concludes the round. Let's go ahead and have everybody put it to a vote. Tosh, why don't you go first?
Well, considering they're both terrible, I'm gonna say Jason. Hell yeah.
All right. Mike.
I'm going with Freddy just because of the campiness. I loved it.
All right. You said Jason.
Freddy.
You said Freddy. You said Freddy too, Tosh?
Tosh said Jason.
Jesus Christ! I suck at this. Give me a fucking break.
Jason. Hell yeah.
It'll get better. It'll get
first time host.
Over.
You know what? I didn't have my little sheet set up, so I was trying to stall so I could fill it out. Okay. All right. Where's that from? What's that?
It's the new soundboard.
Who made that sound? Is that Mike?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, I need you to pocket that because I'm going to need that later for trivia.
All right.
All right. Okay. Gabe.
Oh God, can I lodge a no vote? Can it be a neutral?
No, one of them has to be better than the other. Goddamn.
Okay, Jesus. Let's go.
You can't help.
Yeah, no, not with these two. Let's go with Freddy.
Wow.
Freddy. All right. And Andrew.
I am gonna go with Freddy because of some of the campy breaking of the fourth wall and weird lines.
And Kyle.
Give me Jason Goes to Hell.
You got Jason Goes to Hell. All right. Now, a couple pieces of trivia. Peter Jackson's original screenplay for Freddy's Dead, yes, Peter Jackson's original screenplay for Freddy's Dead saw Freddy aging and growing weak within the dream world. The teens of Springwood would have drug-fueled slumber parties enter the dream world and beat the crap out of him. I assume that means to beat up Freddy, not Peter Jackson. And you may notice that this film, Jason Goes to Hell, you may notice that it does not mention Friday in the title. New Line went with Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, because they did not have the rights to the name Friday the 13th. So, bang up job by them by locking that down before they went into production. Let's make sure we have the title in the can, guys. All right. I will stab the monkey and we'll move on to acting.
Wow. Jeez. Is this any better than writing? I don't know.
Yes, because this category has Leslie Jordan in it, so yes.
Huh. That's interesting. I saw his name in the credits when it started, and I legitimately did not recognize him right away. He looked so young. I did not recognize him right away. I'm like, holy crap, that's Leslie Jordan. Yeah, acting, there's no such thing in these movies, just like the writing. I think it's going to come down to me to cameos. Who had the most and the best cameos? Well, they're not great cameos, but that's what's going to come down to me. I mean, what kind of acting does Jason actually have to do? Well, and that's a weird thing too, because we don't actually see Jason in his usual form in this. I mean, there's so many different people who play Jason. Yeah, man, and I don't know, the kids in Freddy's Dead aren't necessarily all that great. I mean, some of them went on to have, successful careers, but Robert Englund, he just kind of goes, he's just way over the top. But it fits for his character. But it's just so over the top. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know where to go with the acting. Like I said, I think it's going to come down to cameos for me. I mean, we've got Tom Arnold, Roseanne Barr, and Johnny Depp in Freddy's Dead. How can you get those?
You also have
those
one
folks
other person
in
Freddy's Dead.
Who am I missing?
Alice Cooper.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, Alice Cooper as his dad at the end. Yes, of course. So I think for me, it's not going to really come down to the acting. It's just like who the people they could dupe to be in it, pretty much. I don't know. Help me out, guys. I got
Dupe?
nothing.
You said dupe.
You're doing
Yeah, they were duped. They were definitely
duped. No, they were paid commensurate to their time.
Yeah, they were.
Sure.
So
fine.
Yeah, you're right about. Okay, let's start with Freddy. Robert Englund is hamming it up. He's chewing scenery. Like I said, I've shouldn't say I've studied, but I've watched all these movies, and I have friends who are big fans of these movies. So we've talked about them. I'm talking about the whole lexicon of Jason and Freddy. And Robert Englund's portrayal of Freddy Krueger has changed so much over the years. what you said about Jason being played by many actors, that's true, but Jason's demeanor is generally the same. He's a walking tank. He's basically a superpowered zombie who is just always in pursuit of you. He's a killing machine in new and creative ways. Robert Englund has always played Freddy Krueger and has just become more and more and more campy and more of a soundbite all the time. I know Rick and Morty is kind of fallen out of the cultural zeitgeist, but there's a reason why Scary Terry in Rick and Morty is based off of the MTV version of Freddy Krueger, where he just calls everyone bitch all the time, because that's what Freddy Krueger started doing. It just became like a parody of himself. So yeah, let's go through the list of actors real quick. Let's start with Freddy's Dead. You've got Lisa Zane. That's Billy Zane's older sister as Freddy Krueger's daughter. She sounds like she was not born in America. I can't explain it. She's from Illinois. Robert Englund, who's doing a ham-fisted job, if I've ever seen one. You've got Sean Greenblatt as John Doe, who, if you ask yourself who's Sean Greenblatt, you and everybody else in the world, he's like 32 years old and he's playing an 18-year-old teenager. Breckenmeyer, by far the most famous person outside of Johnny Depp, and I would argue maybe Alice Cooper and some of the other people. The rest of everybody else completely forgettable. Love Yaphet Kotto. That guy was in fucking Alien. You've got him in this as a dream doctor. Tom Arnold and Roseanne Barr have the weirdest cameos I've ever seen in my life.
And they're terrible. They are so terrible.
Oh yeah, they're
even in a campy cameo, they are awful.
You've got Robert Shea, who's one of the original, I think, writers and directors, people involved in creating, producers. That is Lynn Shea's husband, who you'll know from as the landlord from Kingpin, or she's been in a bunch of horror movies now. But then you've got Johnny Depp, who chose not to be credited as Johnny Depp in this movie. He is credited as Oprah Noodle Mantra. That is his credited name in the credits. So if you missed that, Oprah Noodle Mantra. He didn't want to be Johnny Depp. Freddy's Dead is so bad. Jason Goes to Hell, a veritable who's that of actors, with the exception of Leslie Jordan, who is awesome. I will give this movie so much credit for taking tiny, effeminate Leslie Jordan and turning him into like this gun wielding burger store owner with his giant overbearing wife. I actually really like that. Kane Hodder playing Jason Voorhees. That's your most common Jason Voorhees, is played by Kane Hodder. He actually makes an appearance outside of the Jason mask. He's one of the two cops at the beginning when they're checking the morgue, the IDs at the morgue. See Jason's body. He's the tall one with the mullet. Everybody else in this movie basically had very little acting they ever did outside of the coroner Richard Gant, who had a great run in Deadwood as Hostetler. And that's it. There's like no fun cameos in this movie. They play it straight with absolute no names. The acting is garbage in Jason Goes to Hell. Absolutely terrible. And not even the fun of having Alice Cooper be an obviously terrible actor walking around. So, I mean,
So what you're trying to say then is Freddy is basically a live action mixed with some cartoon campiness Muppet movie.
I mean, yeah,
where
this is cartoon Freddy.
Oh yeah, hands down. And
absolutely.
It's what cameo can we put? Who can we put in the background? Who can we do? Who can play this bit role? And I guess in some of these movies, it always poses the question of, yes, I understand these people are getting paid, but was this we have this horror movie, you'll be one day at work, you're going to play a diner counter lady, you're going to be kind of a bitch, you'll get hit in the face twice, actually, and then you're going to have something happen, and the big guy's gonna punch you in the face and cave your face in. So do Do you want that? I mean, you haven't really gotten anything else lately, but might pay your rent next week. Like, is that how this happens? Because with the cameos, I don't know. I just it feels like a lot of them are very much of the, minus maybe like Alice Cooper, but very much of the, you don't really have anything. Do you want to do this? It's pay. And it was, okay, sure. Why not? I guess. You talked about iconicity. I think Kyle and Gabe both, mentioned on that. I will say that you're right. Many people have played Jason. Jason is the creature. That is what Jason is known for. But, one thing that is, I think, a little bit different about this is Robert Englund is, he is Freddy Krueger. He is iconic. He made this character who it is. Like, if it would have been somebody else, it would have been a completely different character. And just his look, his demeanor, and how he's done it throughout all the years, starting from the first one and how it's evolved. But Robert Englund he's Freddy Krueger. Like, you look at him and you're like, yep, that's Freddy. And so I think there's something to be said about some of those iconic characters, in film in general, but in this one, even as bad as it was, that there is still that actor that is, if someone else were to step into his role, it's like, that's not Freddy. And I think that says something a little bit. That's about all I really have to say about acting. I'm sorry.
and when I said that a lot of people played Jason, I meant in this film in particular. We don't see Jason in his typical form through a large portion of this movie, actually. He transfers from body to body, and we have to assume that it's Jason in another body, And then, over time, I'm sure he's been played, Jason's been played by a number of actors. But it's interesting in this film that we don't really see Jason in the form that we're used to.
Right, because
through a good portion of the movie. Right at the beginning, when he gets blown up, and pretty much right at the end when he comes out of a dead woman's vagina.
Right, because the rest of the time we have to see him in a weird other body, and then he becomes this weird broken face hugger lizard creature that, as you said, climbs into a dead woman's vagina and births himself back into his normal full-size form, which that was a missed opportunity we could talk about in directing, but they probably wouldn't be able to show that in the 90s. And so,
if the only thing Jason needs to be reborn is to slide inside of some Voorhees anatomy, why doesn't he just go to a graveyard where one of his ancestors is buried and then dig him up and get inside?
Why
does he have to chase down this woman and her child?
Stop.
See the rules in these movies, right? They change so much.
You're talking too much logic now, though. That you can't do that. You can't do that.
I know for horror and science fiction, the real thing is the rules work because that's how the framework of the movie. It doesn't matter if you can explain it. You just have to believe that the rules work. But when there's so many glaring holes in it, that's when you start to realize that it's kind of nonsense.
Yeah, there's a universe, and there are rules for that universe, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the guy that ate Jason's heart at the beginning?
What was up with that? Why?
Richard Gant. I love him.
But he was terrible eating that heart. That was the worst thing. It's like squirrel eating a nut. It was just like just like
that's a very I can't imagine the director's like, all right, here's the thing. You're going to eat this dead guy's heart. And you got to be going as an actor like, what the fuck? I went to school for this? I have student loans for this. What are you talking about? And like, how do I eat this guy's heart? And like, he by far is the scariest embodiment of Jason because he's big and imposing and he's actually like violent.
Yep.
And then Jason turns into what looks like I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Trailer Park Boys, but he kind of turns into Leahy, was like this drunk, balding police officer with his pants falling down, wearing a tank top. You're like, what the hell? This is way less scary. And then he becomes,
that could actually
Bateman.
That could actually be scary, though. That it could be, if they did it right, it could be scary because you don't know. That police officer seems so unsuspecting. It's like you just would never think of that as being someone as violent as Jason Voorhees.
And then, and then
it could be really scary.
And then from there, they had to borrow the effects from Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, so that way they could melt the guy.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure why he melted after Jason left, but
I watched this movie with a friend of mine who's a huge fan of these, and we asked at one point, is David Cronenberg involved in this movie? Are his kids working in this movie? Like, what's going on? Because it has so much body horror in it. It's very unlike most Jason movies. But can we at least talk about the final line of Freddy's Dead? It's probably the most iconic line of all movie history. It's probably delivered the best. I mean, you got Frankly Scarlet, I Don't Give a Damn. You've got Rosebud. You've got Up There. And then you've got Lisa Zane just dryly saying, Freddy's dead, and then credits. That's great. It's great to have your titular line right at the end. I loved in A New Hope when Luke Skywalker looked at the camera and is like, man, I hope these Star Wars end. I mean, it's just like that. Like, beautiful.
That's really more of a writing. Did you want to change your vote? Based on that one line at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
No,
that is true.
Maybe an overall. I'll come and pay it back in overall. But I've never quite seen a movie make that choice and have a line delivered like that. That's chef's kiss.
It makes me think of Pulp Fiction. Freddy's dead, baby.
Freddy's dead.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant
his
at the end
motorcycle, which is made of skeleton.
Yeah, I thought you meant at the end where John Travolta's ghost is like, and that was Pulp Fiction. And then the credits roll.
Yeah, that one too.
Just what a weird decision.
Let's not let this go on any longer than it needs to. All right, let's.
Tom, your desperation to get out of this episode is palpable.
Is it? Because I have actually lots to add. I have some really good trivia coming up. So,
okay.
All right, acting. Kyle, who are you doing for acting?
Oh boy, this is a real lesser of two evils. I'm gonna go with a movie that doesn't have. You know what? No, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm going with the movie that has Yaphet Kotto. Give me Freddy's Dead. I love Yaphet Kotto.
All right, Tosh.
Jason. That's what I'm going with.
Jason. All right, Mike.
I'm going with Fred.
You are you?
Yeah.
All right, Gabe.
I'm going with Freddy because of the cameos.
And Andrew.
Going with Freddy because of Robert. Or
All
Robbie,
right.
as we like to call him.
Hey, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Before you go on your trivia, I want to take it. This is called the halftime with Tosh Dillinger. Quick. I want to apologize to you, Tom, that I was wrong about Hansel and Gretel all these years, and I'd like to apologize and say I'm sorry. You're right on everything that we disagreed on in the past. So I just want to say I'm sorry. And then,
where did that come from?
I wanted to say I missed your sweet laughter, talking about the good old days and making me wait extra 30 minutes to get on this damn podcast. Andrew, we get to interact in this show, and I know it's hard filling my shoes, and I'm sorry for that. And thanks for keeping this on. And Gabe, you're one of my best friends the last 20 years, but I will be using the shot clock on your answers going forward because it's getting a little long. Leslie, I can't wait to hear about you when to see a Michael Bay Transformers versus Jason Freddy versus Fast and Furious Marvel crossover event. Sorry, Tom. Back to you.
No, that's right. That's right. Anytime you need to get in, just let me know, and I'll pause the timer for you. So
appreciate that.
All right, trivia. Trans influencer Alice Cooper agreed to be in the film because he was a fan of the series, but also because he got to play Freddy's father without the usual Alice Cooper persona and makeup. And Top Chef fanboy and recreational surfer Robert Englund auditioned for the role of Lance Johnson in Apocalypse Now, and upon leaving the audition at Fox, he was photographed by the Star Wars casting crew. Although nothing came of either job, Englund immediately called his good friend Mark Hamill and pointed him to the auditions at Fox. And then, of course, we know the rest of the story there. In other casting news, poker enthusiast Kane Hodder was one of the finalists to play Freddy Krueger, partly due to severe burns that he received on his neck and face when a stunt demonstration went wrong. And in addition to his roles as Jason, and as you guys mentioned, the security guard, Kane Hodder also played Freddy Krueger's arm in the final scene, which makes him the only actor to ever play both Jason and Freddy.
Wow.
That's all true, by the way.
That's some deep trivia.
Robert Englund actually surfs and loves watching Top Chef. So, all right.
Good for him.
I was really kind of hoping for like some gas or something, but fuck you guys. Moving on to directing.
Robert Englund likes Top Chef?
Whoa! All right.
These are masters of their craft.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, so first off, I want to point out that Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare, directed by Rachel Talalay. Is that correct? Man, I hope so. Rachel Talalay. She was born in Chicago, Illinois, and this was her very first directorial debut as one of those.
You usually only get one directorial debut.
Yeah, well, from there, most of her stuff is TVs.
If you made this movie, wouldn't you want another chance at a debut?
She did Tank Girl. She did Tank Girl.
She did do Tank Girl and Ghost in the Machine. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about with some of the choices, and maybe we'll get a little bit into overall with those decisions as well. But there are some interesting visual effects that were used in the 90s that this movie definitely, I would say, utilizes that add to the campiness. And I'm not sure if it was part of the pleasure of intention to make it these effects. But I would assume that there was somewhat of a director's decision and choice to do this. Not really a lot of anything interesting or something that makes me go, wow, I want to know who the cinematographer is, who worked on this, who set this, because that it's wow. Like, it's just wow. She got better, I hope. We'll talk about Jason a little bit because I don't want to take away, because I'm assuming Kyle has just biting at his bit. We have for Jason is Dead, Adam Marcus. Adam Marcus hasn't really done very many things.
No, he went directly to director's hell after making this movie.
Yeah, he pretty much did. And there was a good 10 years after he did, it looks like Let It Snow. And then that was it for 10 years almost. And he just kind of was like, man, I'm not really going to do anything, I guess. And he kind of has sprinkled things here and there. I can't say that there were a lot of good choices in this either. When it comes to, it's pretty much your mediocre, regular, horror movie. Like I said, I will give credit where credit is due, and they definitely, in the first 5 minutes in the whole scene, they captured that original cabin in the woods, campy kind of horror movie that is the traditional of the 80s and 90s. Well, more the 80s, but they really captured that, and they did a really nice job of leading up into that. After that, it was kind of all downhill.
How'd they do a nice job? She was in a robe running, or like a towel running, doing flips over the car in a like a towel.
Wait, I said before they get to that part, before they get to the she's a SWAT team member or whatever, like that whole opening scene is very traditional of a campy 80s horror that, they're in the woods. It's one girl. She gets half naked or all the way naked, jumps in the shower, like that. There are tropes that are being played there, and they did a good job with that. That's about the only positive thing I have to say.
Like, get a flip over a police car, and the towels was not going off.
No. She flipped over what we thought was just a mound in the dirt, but turned out to be another secret agent hiding underneath the tarp. Woo! Right before they turned all the lights on and surprised you.
Oh my God.
All right. This
During those scenes where someone is surrounded and being shot by 360, does anybody else wonder whether or not they're shooting each other?
I don't think Kyle, I was looking at that. It was not 360.
Okay. Because I was sitting there going, so these guys are just murdering their friends.
Yes.
Whatever bullets are not getting stuck in Jason are killing your friends. Anyways, I agree with what you said.
That was a concern of mine as well.
They're secret service and they're dark militia people, and it is perfect aim for every single one of them. You don't know.
So I will agree with you that the opening sets you up for what you think is going to be a very typical Jason movie. Why the ruse has to be carried out to such a point that she has to change light bulbs and all that stuff, I don't know. But then the movie takes a hard right turn, and it never recovers. But let's just pull the Band-Aid off. These movies are not well-directed movies. They are not done by good directors either. But I do feel some sympathy for them, because I feel like they were given impossible tasks to turn these scripts into something good. I will say, though, and I don't know that we need to talk about the quality of directing in these movies very much. It's very self-evident in watching the movies. But I do want to say, when we talked earlier about Freddy living in the nightmare world, that can be a hindrance and a boon, because it kind of gives you carte blanche to do whatever you want. Like, you can get as creative as you want. Whatever can happen in the dream world. I would argue in this movie, they really tried a lot of that stuff to varying levels of success. The video game, the video game sequence was just absolutely ridiculous.
It was bonkers. It was goddamn bonkers.
It's peak nonsense. But the problem is when your movie can be anything you want and you have like an unlimited creative liberty, what you choose to do can look very bad when it is as bad as this movie is, because you're like, you had all this real estate to play with, this huge playground, and this is what you chose to do. Not very good. Some of the kills, the fourth wall breaking, I don't understand. I don't remember that being part of Freddy movies in the past, really. I will say the scene where he pushes a bed of spikes onto the road and kind of looks tired from it and looks at the camera like, oh, it's hard work being Freddy Krueger. That is such a terrible choice. I got to really give a lot of shit to the Freddy director, because you allowed these actors to do these things. You allowed Tom Arnold and Roseanne Barr and the crazy teacher at the high school to give these performances. You didn't say, let's do another take, or here's what I want from you, or can you tone it down or change it? You let them do this. And that's on you. You got to deal with that. That's on you. You bear the responsibility.
So that scene though, Kyle, where he pushes it on, it almost had a Beetlejuice feel to it. Like it was so goofy, campy that it was just so out of place. And then he even does a take to the audience after he does it.
Yes, it's a Roadrunner Coyote moment.
Yeah, and the other one you were talking about, the killings, the hearing aid one, where he's dropping all the pins. Which
I actually really like that.
It's creative.
It's creative, but the thing I had a problem with is he's standing with all of these steam tunnel things going off and all of the clanging and everything, and none of that bothered him.
Yes,
but
I agree.
Then, wouldn't his own voice blow out his ears when he's screaming? You can hear your own voice.
Yes.
So I want to chime in here real quick. Freddy's Dead was Army of Darkness before Army of Darkness, right? Like it was horror campy, like over the top campy. And I think that's why I enjoyed it so much more. And I'm not saying that, I'm I'm a huge fan of the film, but as much as I am of Army of Darkness, but I saw a lot of my love of Army of Darkness in Freddy's Dead.
It was just very out of place for a Freddy movie, which is why it makes it weird.
Correct.
And you know what Army of Darkness has, though, that Freddy's Dead doesn't? Sam Raimi.
Correct.
And that's the difference.
And Bruce Campbell.
Such a huge difference.
But also the gimmick of 3D, right? Like the fact that they were showing it in 3D and that, that's how she could come back from the dream world was the 3D glasses. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so dumb, but it makes me so nostalgia ridden for those days, the 3D, the actual like poor 3D days. And even some of the effects, you could definitely tell they were going for the 3D stuff.
Just to let you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about how much that impacts your direction of the movie.
Well,
knowing that this is going to be presented in 3D, and how if you go back and look, I wasn't aware when I first started watching it that it was intended to be in 3D. But then at some point, I'm like, I think this movie was supposed to be 3D because of the way that they presented things, the shot choices, and those kinds of things. And it's like just that in particular has to do, it really impacts how you choose to make your film, and maybe not in a good way.
And I also one last thing, and I'll let you guys. But Jesus fucking Christ, could we have any longer fucking credits? Jason Goes to Hell
at the beginning, you mean?
Yes. I'm like,
oh God, that was so annoying where it would show a little bit of film and then it would cut to the credits and it would show,
oh my God,
I don't know what it was, but I found that really annoying.
Timing it was terrible.
It was absolutely awful. And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake.
If that was the editor choice or that was the director going, we need to make an impact with our credits. So let's show body do the loud music and we'll show who's, part of the movie, and then we'll go back to a body part.
It says here in the script, cool credits. So here's my idea.
Oh my God.
So really out of an hour and a half movie. We're 10 minutes short. Let's bump this credit.
Thank you for bringing that up, Tosh. I would argue the strength of these two movies is that they are both only 90 minutes long.
Yes.
Oh, but Jason felt so much longer. Jason felt like these movies so much longer.
2 hours or 2.5 hours, they would be fucking interminable.
You are correct, but Jason felt like it was longer than Freddy's Dead.
I just, my one big thing about the 3D is First of all, when you buy the box set of Nightmare on Elm Street, and I can attest to this, it does come with 3D glasses. Now, this is back in the day when 3D was red and blue lensed, and it was just offset to get the depth.
Right.
So now that poses the question. Now we talk about 3D and how it's much more difficult for the director. The director has to plan the shots better. That's today. We're shooting with multiple cameras. It's digital. It's all this other stuff, and they're planning out these shots. I have a feeling that when we're doing red and blue shooting of a movie for 3D, that won't always be 3D, by the way, it was probably less thought of and more of what can we push towards the camera so that way it looks 3D, and then we'll just make sure we separate the red and blue really far when those things come at you.
Right.
Like the kung fu
that's what I
scene
mean.
and everything. Like it's just, I can't imagine there was a ton of planning, I guess is my point.
Yeah, it impacts your shot choice though. It's like we're gonna do this. We're gonna do the glove, Freddy's glove, coming right at the screen, but only because it's going to be in 3D.
Yes.
Sure.
Or we're going to have these puppet demons flying around in the air, or we're going to have her go through this doorway with these demons around it, and we're going to present it this way only because it's in 3D, not because it's the best choice, but because it's in 3D. And so it really impacts kind of the directorial choices, I think.
Sure, and there's the old quip of if there is a movie and it has 3D in the title, it's normally not going to be a good movie.
Probably
and it's not going to translate because they're just going to throw 3D tropes at you. And again, with it, the time period, that was a thing, and they were trying to make some cool things, maybe to make people go see the movie because they knew people wouldn't go see the movie.
Maybe.
All right. That concludes our directing round. Thank God.
Tom.
All right. Directing. Let's vote. Kyle.
Oh, it's Jason Goes to Hell.
All right. Tosh.
Jason.
My gosh, we got sweep going. Mike.
Freddy.
Fuck off. You ruined the streak. Gabe.
Jason Goes to Hell.
There you go. And Andrew.
Freddy for the campiness.
All right. No. All right. So I've got some directing trivia for y'alls. So supposedly there is a comic book that bridges the gap between Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason Goes to Hell, and it follows Jason after he is dipped in toxic waste. It actually says dipped, like he's a fucking dilly bar or something. Dipped in toxic waste in a New York City sewer and walks his way back to Crystal Lake. So for the map makers among you, it goes Manhattan, New Jersey, and then hell. Jason's heart was actually made from gelatin filled with fruit cocktail and mixed with black dye, just like Grandmama used to make. Despite this irresistible concoction, actor Richard Gant nearly threw up during the scene. And who could blame him? Because I don't know if you guys have had fruit cocktail lately, but that is pretty gross. Okay. What the fuck is that?
I'm eating the heart. That's what he sounded like. He was like,
That's just
Andrew,
eating
you've
his
got
face.
Pornhub. You've got Pornhub.
I'm going to go ahead and assume. I'm going to go ahead and assume that we've lost all our listeners there. And sorry, all the trivia for this section is all about Jason. But you may have spotted the Necronomicon in the Voorhees house. Raise your hand if you did.
Mm-hmm. I did, yes.
Yeah, all right.
I saw that.
Okay,
I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Wasn't watching that closely.
That is actually the prop from Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. The filmmakers wanted to expand the Jason Voorhees universe in the cheapest way possible and asked Sam Raimi to borrow the prop, except no one asked prop master Tom Sullivan to use his work. Cue the sad trombone. Sullivan was less than happy about the loaner, and Raimi had to write a mea culpa letter begging his forgiveness. All right?
Wow.
Good for Sam. Good for Sam.
Yeah, but good for Tom to come up with all that great trivia. All right.
Great job.
Moving on.
Sticking up for his crew like that.
By the way, I went outside IMDb. I went to Screen Crush and
The dark web.
Den of Geek, and I was like,
The dark web.
I went on the dark web, to find trivia about these movies. So just working overtime for the enjoyment of my listeners, even if it does make the show longer. All right. Overall, nice. This one's yours.
Oh boy. I'm going to start this off with music. What? So, what music you might? The same fucking track that is played over and over and over and over and over and over in Jason Goes to Hell. Like, it is the exact same fucking soundtrack. They were like, we need some music for this new Jason movie. All right, I gotcha. Here you go. Hands them a cassette tape. How many songs are on here? 1. That's all you need. It was fucking awful. And I think that's what also made the beginning credits feel like they were 20 minutes long, because the music was just god awful. And I got to be honest, I don't remember any of the music from Freddy's Dead. You know, I'm sure the usual theme for Nightmare on Elm Street was in there, but yeah,
I'm just real quick.
Yeah.
Well, it says music by Brian May. Is that Queen? Brian May did the music for Freddy's Dead?
Are you
what I read.
shitting?
No.
Is that
I
a
looked that
different
up
Brian
too.
May?
You looked it up?
A different Brian May.
Oh,
I saw
thank
that
God.
too, and I'm like, holy crap,
Okay.
is Brian May doing this music?
Oh, thank
No,
God.
it's different
Boy, that-
Brian May.
That would have been good trivia to find.
My heart
Yeah,
just sank.
I looked that up.
Good job.
Excuse me. I just want to say I miss the New Line Cinema logo showing up in front of movies. I always liked it when they would do something odd or different, and New Line kind of started this, where they would usually have the music start or dialogue start while the logo was going on. And I don't know why, but New Line Cinema, that logo always sticks with me. With I'm going on a ride, right? Like I'm in for it. Except they didn't do it with these films. It was just seeing New Line Cinema logo flashing up after I haven't seen it for 10, 15 years.
Mike,
Yeah.
we also always use the New Line Cinema to be able, because you knew exactly what it looked like. You could always adjust your tracking on your VCR.
Yes.
With the New Line Cinema
Yes.
logo.
And boy, where do I go with either one of these movies, besides the fact that I seem to have enjoyed Freddy's Dead a lot more, and I think it was because of the campiness. But if I was a fan of the series, which I am not, but if I was a fan of the series, this probably would be my most hated movie, because from the sounds of it, it is the one that is the furthest away from that timeline. If and probably the reason that it has a 4.7 or a 4.1, something like that, 4.7 out of 10. I really like some of the practical effects that they used. The just 90s practical effects, the falling, the ear, the ear, what do you want to call it? The ear monster, the ear vermin. I don't know. That just really freaked me out. And the ear bug, like, it really freaked me out. And I agree with you, Andrew. Everything in that room should have been shattering his ear. Yeah. The steam, the talking, everything. Shoot, I forgot her name already. Lisa Zane. Boy, howdy. If I would have seen this movie in the 90s, I would have had a poster of her up on my wall. Like, she is just that 90s girl. Dark hair, cute, red lipstick, just everything about her, Mike of the 90s would have had a poster of Lisa Zane, and then nothing, she doesn't go on to do too much more. But Breckin Meyer, I was like, holy shit, is that Breckin Meyer? Because I was doing something while the credits were rolling, and I had to go look it up.
You missed the Breckin, and introducing Breckin Meyer credits?
I did. I agree with Kyle, Yaphet Kato. I was, when he first showed up, I'm like, oh Lord, what's he going to be doing? Like, is he just going to be the one that gets killed? But at the end, when he's trying to break down the door and then just eventually rips it off the hinges like it's no problem.
Yeah, he's incredibly strong for some reason.
Absolutely crazy. Sorry, I am just spitballing here. Creighton Duke. Creighton Duke. I just want to see a standalone movie of Creighton Duke and everyone that he has brought in. Like, he is Dog the Bounty Hunter before Dog the Bounty Hunter was a thing. It's just
and in every one, he is incarcerated through most of the movie and doesn't actually do anything.
Doesn't do anything.
Yeah. He just breaks one of the guys next to him, breaks his fingers.
For information. Right. Just for information.
He wasn't much of a bounty hunter. He didn't do anything.
But I think Kyle was the one that brought up the gore, the amount of gore in Jason. And I agree. Like, why was that guy melting? Like, it was a very cool effect.
There's a lot of body horror. Yeah.
But I think they were like, hey, we can do this cool effect. All right, let's put it in. It wasn't, should we, or we need to have this happen. It was like, hey, we could do this. All right, let's do it.
Well, like the lady at the diner, she gets hit in the face and it like caves just her mouth in, and it, like I did like back it up because I'm like, what did she get hit with?
I kind of like that though.
It's like poetic justice.
Yes,
right. She's always yelling and screaming, and she's got a big mouth, so she gets her mouth caved in.
Yes.
And what is up with both of these movies, and the towns they're going to are so fucking close to where they live. Like, always on the signs, like 5 miles away. And you're telling me that the people living, like, especially Maggie, had never heard of what happened in this town. Like, it was literally 5 miles
right down
away.
The road. Yeah. That's like saying if you live in Des Moines and in West Des Moines every teenager dies, you don't know about it. Like, what?
It's insane.
And then Freddy like draws in the air the number of population and then like crosses it out, and it's like floating.
It's
there.
a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
He's a cartoon. Yeah.
I mean, that movie is a cartoon. The entire movie is a cartoon.
It's a live action cartoon.
Right.
So I just wanted to jump in real quick. Creighton Duke is a character that is so similar to so many characters in these long-running horror franchises, where eventually you have someone show up out of nowhere and claim they have secret knowledge about what's going on. In Halloween, you have people who know about the Cult of Thorn. Like, if you follow the original timeline, in Freddy's Dead, you get people who are related to him, or dream doctors, or other people who show up and they know something intuitively. They never explain how they know what they know about these people. But I think the term is MacGuffin, right? Isn't that like just a giant distraction in a movie? Creighton Duke is the he is a human MacGuffin.
Yes.
He shows up, claims to have secret knowledge, wants $500,000 for it.
Yes.
Is immediately arrested for sexually harassing a woman in a diner. And then gives the information freely to a 30-year-old teenager in exchange for breaking 3 of his fingers. That is his character arc until he shows up at the end.
And don't forget, it is going to kill a baby to stop
Jason. Yes. Just insane. What he has to do with this movie is insane.
I want to know, like, this should have come up in writing, I guess, but where did that name come up?
Creighton
Where did
Duke?
that name come from? It's like
that's the name of 2 colleges. That's all
I'm guessing somebody involved with the making of these went to each of those colleges, and that's how they created his name.
If you've
I
seen
think
the
you
new
said it the
Halloween
best,
movies,
though.
what? Sorry.
I think Gabe said it the best when he said this should have come up in writing. You meant like the writers, right?
I meant what?
You meant the writers. Like it should have came
Yes.
up in the writing.
Yeah. Back then in 1992.
Oh, you think the writers should have been writing
why are we
something?
naming them after our colleges?
Did it have multiple writers, or did it have one writer? I didn't pay attention.
There are 3 credited writers.
How embarrassing for them.
I know. This is just terrible. I mean, yeah, I would be going by Oprah noodle mantra if I wrote this movie. Like, I wouldn't want my name on it. Unreal. But
what one did you think had the better practical effects, though? I mean,
I would say Freddy.
The melting and the body horror in Jason was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good for its time.
The one thing I noticed, though, that in Jason Goes to Hell is that a lot of the gore was really off screen. And I'm used to actually seeing a lot of the stuff actually happening in those Friday the 13th movies. You see the knife going through, you see the skull getting crushed or whatever. You actually see it on screen. And I was a little bit surprised at how much of it was kind of off screen and not shown directly. I mean, there's a few exceptions, but overall it wasn't that overtly gory.
I can give you some inside baseball on that if you want, Gabe. So these movies were incredibly popular, and the MPAA cracked down on them. And so as you start watching these movies and you see like Friday the 13th in particular, 2, 3, 4, the gore is incredibly toned down. They make them cut so much that the kills become like a lot of kills are off screen. So it's a more recent phenomenon that horror movies are so gory, because there was a period in the 80s and 90s where the MPAA clamped down on all that stuff. I watched the unrated version of Jason Goes to Hell, and there's a dude who just gets literally cut in half, like bisected, which is like crazy gory, considering what these movies looked like. And the sex is out of control in the beginning of the unrated version. But yeah, they really clamped down on these movies. There you go. Yeah. Well, like I said, I watched this with a friend of mine, and we were sitting in the basement watching this, and the sex scene in the unrated was going on so long that we were like, this is getting uncomfortable.
Was it Tommy Wiseau uncomfortable? Was it The Room uncomfortable? Where it's like 10 minutes?
Well, I would argue that you see a lot less of Tommy Wiseau than you see of the people in this movie, but you do have Tommy Wiseau in it, so that's automatically jumps up the creep factor.
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
But I mean that. And speaking of the gore, though, I mean that was the thing about the Freddy movies and the Jason movies when they came out, was how gory can we make it? I mean, these were the movies that set that bar for gore and craziness in a horror movie. I mean, if you think of the very first Freddy movie, they do an entire blood spill out of the entire ceiling that comes down and drenches her in this rain waterfall, massive craziness. And it was how gory, how crazy can we make this? And that was part of the fun at the time. And so, yes, I would agree that the MPA, they started just changing that, and you can see the decline in how gory can we make this versus where they ended up. And I think that's an interesting takeaway, at least from these, because these were the movies to watch, to see gore and to see the guy get stabbed or blood comes spurting out from everywhere or whatever. Weird Freddy turn into a monster that eats people, and the refrigerator comes alive. And I mean, that was the thing.
We talked about practical effects. I just want to say there's one really bad one at the end of Jason, and that is like the little Jason monster.
Oh.
It is quite obviously one piece and has to turn its entire body to look from left to right.
Yes.
And that's like comical.
Like, how many trap doors do you have in a fucking house?
Oh man, it's a lot. Well, it's that house. There are stirrups on an altar in that house.
Well, right.
Like, that's creepy.
Yeah. I guess
and
you're
the
right.
little creature was like, it had a tail, and that it was. It reminded me of the alien at the end of Spaceballs.
Oh,
Yes.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my
100%.
darling.
Yes.
Yes, that is
Yeah,
the
it
closest
did. It
analog.
did kind of look like that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like I was the entire time I'm watching Jason Goes to Hell, I'm like, am I missing something? Like, should I have watched the movie before to know what's going on
no.
now?
No.
Don't watch
Like-
Jason Takes Manhattan. Absolutely not.
Nope.
Like I just felt so lost. I'm like, okay, so this is his sister. Okay, so this is his sister. All right. And then she dies. I'm like, okay, why? He's just killing people. Like there's no, I know there's no rhyme or reason with this stuff, but usually they try to make it make sense. And then they did it in the most convoluted way where Creighton Duke was like, he can only be killed or brought back from the dead by one of his kin. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. We haven't even talked about the TV news reporter guy and the
Round's over.
Wait, the TV news reporter guy that looked like it was shot at a 48 film project in somebody's apartment.
The fantastic, like the stamps when they're missing, killed.
The immediate red flag for me was like looking at this guy and he's dating a newly single mom, and I'm like, do you think this guy would date a newly single mom?
Right.
He's a scumbag. There's no way. This doesn't make any sense.
And like she just gets introduced out of the blue. Oh, hey, honey.
Yes, she doesn't show up.
I'm like, who the fuck
She's
is
so
this?
important. It doesn't show up. It's laughable.
Oh,
Okay. Are we good? Can you wrap this up?
I think we're good.
Tom's putting his nightcap on. He's got one foot in bed already.
Looks like
He's had 2
Ebenezer
showers.
Scrooge.
trying to get out of. He's blowing out a candle.
All right, smartasses. Andrew, what do you want to vote for? Overall. Freddy. All right, Gabe.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Freddy.
Tosh.
Jason.
Mike.
Freddy.
How dare you guys?
And Kyle.
If Freddy's Dead wins, I'm going to riot. Jason Goes to Hell.
Wait, to be fair, should anything win?
I think there's a clearly better movie, but that's just my opinion.
We all lost.
Really?
We all
Yeah.
lose.
We all
You are
lose.
100% right, Tosh.
Yeah.
Nobody comes out of this good.
No, but we're all
Yeah.
losers here.
Cinesmack's dead. The final episode.
In fact, I watched both movies at 2 times speed. I'm not even kidding. Just because I had to get them done today.
You didn't miss anything.
They still didn't make any sense.
So the opening credits for Jason Goes to Hell only took 15 minutes?
All right, so quick trivia here. The producers planned a spin-off in which Freddy Krueger's spirit possesses the body of his daughter, Maggie Burroughs, as she continues her father's murderous killing spree. This, thankfully, never came to fruition. And at the end, when Freddy's glove grabs Jason's mask, it was referencing a screenplay putting Jason and Freddy against each other that had been in the works since 1987. Unsurprisingly, a good script was hard to come by. And Jason X was produced in the interim. It wouldn't be until 2003 that Jason and Freddy would face off, only to be eclipsed by their second rumble on the underwhelming 151st episode of Cinespec. Thank you very much. All right. So while I perform mouth to mouth on the monkey, let's make some recommendations, and we'll start at the top. Tosh.
Oh, I'm supposed to recommend you.
We did it when you used to be on, right? Yeah, we used to do this.
Changed, like you're streaming live, and like there's weird things in front of me, and I was like, "This is all different."
Okay, Tosh's recommendation is that we record the show from now on.
Right.
Oh, okay. I'll record next time.
Thanks.
Oh.
So,
We did this for nothing?
Yeah. Immaculate Room. I don't know if everyone's seen that. It's about a a boyfriend, girlfriend that are stuck in this room for 60 days straight, and all they have is a bed, and that's about it. And then if they survive 60 days together, they get $5 million. It's on, I think it's on Netflix or Hulu, one of those two. It's really good. The ratings of it wasn't great, but I really enjoyed it. It's a really good thriller, honestly. Immaculate Room.
All right. Immaculate Room. Thank you very much. Kyle.
I'm going to recommend a horror movie I just saw recently, a new release, based out of Australia. It got a lot of hype and made quite a bit of money. It's called Talk to Me. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. Try to go in not knowing much about it. It's an interesting concept, but I really dug it, and I know it's made so much money that they're already making a sequel, so I'm excited.
Very good. Thank you very much, Kyle. Gabe.
Well, I just really don't have a great recommendation. I don't watch these kinds of movies. But I'm going to go with A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Mostly because Dokken did the song for that. And back in the day, I was a huge fan of Dokken. And so you should also go watch the Dokken music video because it's actually kind of cool. It's maybe better than the movie. I don't know. And I've got a little funny story about the filming of that video. Apparently, Don Dokken, the lead singer of, well, you guessed it, Dokken, and Robert Englund were hanging out, taking a break, and Robert came and took a bite of pizza, and a part of his prosthetic started coming off, and Don Dokken said, Robert, your face is falling off. And he says, Robert Englund says, yep, olive oil destroys the glue. Who knew? So don't eat pizza if you've got prosthetic.
Is that why Popeye's face was always falling off?
I don't know. Was there olive oil? Well,
Oh, man. You walked right into that one. That was great.
Yeah, me too.
I got a rim shot. Yes.
You were like,
I can die happy.
You were like Jason in the first 5 minutes of Jason's going to hell. All right, Mike.
And I was the naked lady.
Andrew, you're up.
Wow. I don't know. I don't think it's been. I don't know if it's actually been, but it has horror in the name, and I am going to recommend a more campy horror movie that is based actually off of an original stage play and originally a 45-minute short film that Jack Nicholson originally was in, and that is Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you have anything else? Anything else you want to say about it? No? You're good?
You want me to talk about it? We can.
It's a singing Steve Martin. That's
Rick
all
Moranis?
you need.
It's Rick Moranis and Steve Martin. Yeah.
Yeah, he's my spirit animal.
And Belushi is in it, and Dan Aykroyd.
All right. All right, Mike, fire away.
Well, one horror movie and it's actually both of these guys, Freddy versus Jason, I actually wanted to watch it. I don't know why, but I wanted to watch it, and I had a great time watching it. So I would recommend Freddy versus Jason. Like, it's just two supervillains fighting each other. And regular old humans get in the middle of it. Is directed by Ronnie Yu and written by Wes Craven, and looks like two other writers, Robert Englund.
Two other people. But there are some really great looking shots in this film, which is the total opposite of what either of these films we spoke about tonight had. Mm-hmm. Especially the one that still sticks with me is when Freddy leaps out of the lake. Like he's going to go onto the dock. Like, I just love that shot, and I don't know why. But check out Freddy versus Jason. It's a lot of fun.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. My recommendation is not in the genre at all because I can't really recommend anything. So you should check out on Netflix. Wes Anderson has 4 new shorts short films. The first and best one I think is The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar with Benedict Cumberbatch.
So good.
It's so fun, and it's some friendly entertainment. The other one I would recommend is Poison. Is also really good. The other two are also fantastic, but if you're only going to watch two, Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and Poison.
Agreed.
All right. Let's go ahead and flip the monkey over and see who won.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh, okay.
And
now?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner, by decision, is Freddy's Death, the Final Nightmare!
Kyle's getting his right gear out. Okay.
His riot gear out.
He was gonna riot. It's a pretty one. Didn't you say that, Kyle?
You guys ever seen Walk Hard with Dewey Cox? Where he keeps saying the wrong kid got cut in half. Yeah, the wrong movie won. But you know what? That's why this is America. You're allowed to make bad choices here.
Can I go back to the original statement of no one won? Nobody won here.
No, we're all lost. We all lost.
Oh.
All right. So thank you everybody for listening. Please leave a review on whatever podcasting service you use. It helps us reach our new listeners. If you like us, tell your friends. If you hate us, tell your enemies. You can contact us at cinesmack@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, or just search Cinesmack. If you want to listen to unedited version of the show, you can catch us live on Twitch whenever we record an episode. For November, we're going to honor those who have fought for our freedoms by sitting on our couches for 378 minutes of the greatest war cinema ever produced, as Saving Private Ryan takes on Das Boot.
Fun fact. Sorry, Tom. Fun fact.
Fun fact. You fucked up my end. You screwed up my closing.
Fun fact. How many minutes was it? 300 and... Still shorter than the opening credits for Jason Goes to Hell.
Get that in, didn't you? Just had to ruin my closing with your little fucking joke. Are you done?
Hold on. Now I'm done.
Oh my god.
Anybody want to point out that this is actually twice as long as both these movies put together?
Yeah.
Still shorter than Lawrence of Arabia versus Dr. Zhivago.
We can just recommend that people listen at 2 times speed.
I would argue both these movies probably have double the IMDb score of either of these as well.
That's true. That's true. It is. It's going to be like eating vegetables after like a crap salad. All right. For Kyle, you fucking Mike Keeler. I was cruising, and you had to say some joke about
nothing that you haven't done before.
Yes.
Never interrupted Mike on when he's closing. I mute myself. You should try it. Kyle, Gabe, can I do this?
Quiet times.
Gabe, Andrew, Mike, and especially, and me. Thank you for listening, and go catch a flick.
That began the nightmare on my street.
My God.
I'm glad you think it's funny.
I don't know. Tom was kind of breaking up for me there at the end.
He was.
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up. I can't hear you right now. I can't hear you.
It's because he's not talking.
I can see that you're talking, but I can't hear you.
Talking.
I am too talking. Are you kidding?
Now I hear you. I hear you now.
It was kind of breaking up.
Do I have to redo it?
Just do right after I interrupted you.
For Kyle, Gabe, Andrew, Tom, that's not my script. That's yours, ass face. For Kyle, Gabe, Andrew. Take 7. For Kyle, Gabe, Andrew, Mike, Tosh, and me, thank you for listening, and go catch a flick.
There we go. I can cut that.
Hey, he did it.
Oh,
I'm
doesn't get the
standing by
closing.
you. I'm standing by you. You're right.
I was just trying to make your agony talking about both of these films just a little bit longer.
Hey, you know what? Good luck finishing the show next month. Good luck, man. Good luck. I'm bringing out all my war sound effects for that one.
I'll go with it.
Like, for Kyle.
Yeah. Earlier, Andrew gave us a rim job sound effect. You remember the old? Hey, if you guys didn't know, Lisa Zane is also a singer, and she has got some albums you can buy and listen to, as well as a song on the soundtrack to the movie Monkey Bone.
Oh, I love that movie, Monkey Bone.
What about that?
That's what we need to do, Monkey Bone.
It's got the guy from The Whale in it.
The guy from The Whale. That's how we know him.
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.